Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today, April 8th of 2021 at approximately quarter to 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Well, as you can see by the background, my office is not in the same shape it was. Well, more to the point, it's right in the middle of renovation. I bought a couple of desks for it to reorganize everything, and turned out not all the parts to the desk were there. Needless to say, I have to go down and see what I can do about that. You can see the one desk behind me here. That desk is not complete. It's missing the top shelf. So I'm going to have to go down today and figure that out. Don't know how that's going to turn out, but I know how I'm aiming for it. And again, things do not necessarily go the way we plan. Okay, I'm sure you've had plans to get things done and they just went sideways because the only person you've got absolute control over is, and that's limited until you figure out how to do it, is you. And what I mean by absolute is you have the ability to heal yourself, you have the ability to be successful. The problem is that you're the only one that can do it. You can turn to anybody you desire. Okay, you can talk to anybody about it and make sure if you desire to do something, talk to somebody that has done it successfully. Okay, the reality is, and you can just see it up in the corner here right now, which gives you an idea of the orientation. Yeah, I'm going to point, that's going to help. Up on the top left corner, you'll see the sign that I've been talking about that says, I have legally attained a minimum of $2,000 by April 30th, 2021 at 1 minute to midnight. That's also where I have the sign right below it that says Inner Voice Enterprises has legally generated a minimum of $200 by April 30th, 2021 at 1 minute to midnight. Now, that's the first part. Now, where we're sitting right now is where I originally had the sign that said, I am worth it. Right now, it's sitting over there by the door. Okay, I can still see it if I turn around and look at it this way. That's also where I have my physical calendar. Now, you'll find the area behind me changes rather drastically over the next little while. Well, more to the point, the orientation does. Behind me won't change a lot. Okay, because quite frankly, that window is built in. But you're the only one that has control over your future. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're a kid, karmic law, and if you're an adult for that matter, karmic law still applies. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. And a small little thing that fits inside of that is you must follow the laws of the land in which you are. To that end, if you're living under somebody else's roof, and they're the ones making the rules, a landlord, the government itself, your parents, doesn't matter. If they make the rules, follow them. Talk to them about it. If you don't feel they're fair, come up with what you're willing to do to make adjustments. Most people are willing to work with you if you approach it in the right fashion. Like, for instance, I could go into the company that I bought the desk from today, and I could tear a strip off them for making such a gross underestimation, or a gross underservice, as in they didn't put all the parts in. Now, I knew there was going to be a problem because when I opened the first box, the instructions were there, but none of the parts were labeled. Okay, so I worked that out. It was annoying, but I worked it out. Then I opened the second one. It was the same type of desk. Okay, same shipment, but it wasn't packed the same way. Net result, they were missing one of the poles to put the desk together. Now, I could go in and tear a strip off them and say, what kind of incompetent people are you? And rest assured, I did think that. But I'm going to do my best to go in and go, look, this is what I've done. This is what I ended up spending. This is what I put into this. And this is the kind of return I've got. Okay, and see what they can do. Now, fortunately, if worst case scenario, I do know somebody that can take a dowel and turn it into a shelf brace so that I can put the shelf together. Okay, so this is why I'm not going to bother returning it. Yes, I paid a lot of money for it, and I should get the full service. Absolutely, and that's why I'm going to go down today. Now, I've got the choice. I can get really agitated about it, and I've already done that part. Thankfully, they didn't have to deal with it. Okay, now, like I said, you are the one that has control over whether you're going to be successful. How you got to where you are, it matters in as much as it's all those little things you've gone through, the trials and tribulations that have created the situation for you, have turned you into the person you are. Okay, now with that in mind, it's up to you to decide what you consider is success. Now, I know what I'm looking for, and I've mentioned that before. So far, things are going reasonably well. Okay, even the investment that I made to start with, I checked yesterday, and the investment I made for my retirement has started making money. It lost money right off the bat. Not happy about that, but it's made the money back. It's now climbing. So I'm content. Okay, and that's all I'm looking for. The way I look at it, well, that's not all I'm looking for, but the way I look at it, as long as things start moving in the right direction, I'll be content. Okay, now today I've got to go back through the finances and what have you and get a little more done, but I do have things I do on the side as well. As you can tell, I didn't get everything in my office done. So, let's be realistic about this in a sense. It's easier to figure out what you don't like about the way your life is than it is to figure out what you may like about it in the future. The real kicker that I found was if you take everything that you don't like and you start eliminating it piece at a time, eventually all you're going to be left with is a life that you like. And rest assured, that will make your life a lot easier. Okay, I don't know about you, but I found that stress is really a pain in the neck. Now, I mentioned the other day that it was time to get started. Well, today is another day, okay? And as always, this is the first day of the rest of your life. How you got to this point does not matter, okay? In as much as everybody on the planet is in the same boat no matter what walk of life you come from. You are where you are right this moment, and you cannot go back and change that which you've already done. But you can alter what you're doing in the present to make a future that is better in your eyes. Yeah, it does seem I'm having a little fun trying to breathe today, so we'll figure out how that goes. But that's okay. I'm going to talk to a doctor on Friday and get everything tested and see what's going on. Okay. No, I don't trust doctors very well. Mind you, I don't trust many people. Now, there's varying degrees of trust, so, the reality is maybe we should just say I'm very apprehensive about it because, well, I've had things happen to me that the doctors can't even keep up with. Like, for instance, and you can't really see it well, there's a scar here. Okay. That, I don't know if you can see that or not, I don't have my hands on. But there's a scar that runs from there to approximately there. That was done when I broke my arm, and I broke it so badly they had to plate it. Okay. Now, I was told that it takes a couple of months at least to heal. That you'd be in a cast, they're very uncomfortable and all that. Well, I didn't look forward to the idea of the cast. So when I broke it at approximately 7 in the morning on March 3rd of 04. By 7 o'clock that night, I was out of the operation. I was out of the operating room, and they had plated my arm. Okay. It was all bound up because of the operation. Well, I went back in on the 12th to get the bandage from the arm chain from the operation changed, and I'd already healed the bone. So they never did actually put a cast on it. All they did was put a brace on it. Okay. But the doctors had no clue how to deal with that kind of healing. Okay, or at least that's the way they behaved. So, in any event, from my standpoint, it boils down to this. I didn't like the idea of taking, several months to heal the arm because I'd heard horror stories about how itchy they can be, etc. Okay, well, in this case, I didn't have to deal with that. Okay, I'm not wearing my glasses today because, quite frankly, they're working and my eyes are working reasonably well. So when I look at the world at that point, I'm like, okay, you can control how your body heals. You can alter the speed it heals. Okay, and the fact that your body is yours to control. The thing you got to remember is every cell inside the human body and inside every corporeal body has a perfect blueprint for a perfectly healthy soul, healthy body. This said, all you have to do is remember one little detail. Your body has the ability to heal anything that goes wrong with it. All you have to do is get the assistance where necessary. For instance, I've already decided when I go to the doctor, I know she's going to give me some medications. I know that I don't like medications to start with, but because of the fact that my body isn't doing exactly what I desire, I'm using that for a crutch for the moment. Or I've decided to. As soon as I get the medications, I will. Okay. And I do encourage you, much as I've got my own reservations around the whole medical setup, I do encourage you, talk to the professionals. They at least have a little more understanding of what you're going through than what you necessarily do. But double check when they give you medications. Ask what the medications do. What are the side effects and what are the if they're giving you more than one medication, double check and make sure that you yourself understand what the cross symptoms may be, what cross complications could be. Now understand, and I'll put this to you very simply, for all of you, okay, stay off Google Medical for one reason. Okay, if you don't have any medical understanding, there are all sorts of things that will be taken right out of context, and it's not Google's fault, it's not anybody's fault per se. Human nature says take things, take things as you see them and put them out. Now, this is my opinion regarding Google, the medical stuff on Google. I've used it to a degree, and it works. Okay, but where it comes to really understanding what is going on with your body, talk to somebody that's actually taken the time to actually learn it. They won't be perfect. Okay, there is not a person on the planet that is perfect. I'm not perfect. And yet I get told by a lot of people, okay, hence why I've got some 80,000 plus clients under my belt over the 40, 8 years now that I've been doing this. Okay, with personal lives and with business. Okay, what I've been told is that for a lot of people, I seem to have a slightly broader insight and a slightly more direct approach. Well, no, a really more direct approach. The one thing I don't do to people is I absolutely refuse to lie to people to make them feel better, unless they directly ask me to. Oddly enough, I actually had a client that asked me to do that. He literally comes to me, he says, I don't want to know about my past. I don't want to know about my future. I just want you to make me feel better. And, if you have to lie to me to make me feel better, go right ahead. I'm thinking like, well, that's kind of odd, but it's your money. Now, bearing in mind, I'm also a science fiction, science fantasy author. I've written a couple of books on self-help. I've written a reference manual and a children's story, as well as I'm putting together a poetic anthology, and I have already published poems. So I'm working in 5 different genres. The novel, by the way, is science fiction, science fantasy, depending on who you talk to. Okay. Now, to that end, if you look at the bottom at the list, at the bottom of these videos, well, that was well done. If you look at the list at the bottom of the videos, you'll find a list of different publications I've already got in print. Okay, and they can be ordered directly through me. You'll find a whole pile of contact points below as far as email addresses, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, all of this is listed below. Okay, so give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, okay, and that way you can get to all the different videos. Okay, we've got a lot of information coming out, and thanks so much to the encouragement I got from the requests that I got from so many of you before I started this menu, before I started doing this. I think they call it a vlog. Okay, it was your guys' encouragement that got me doing this. So starting on March 6th of this year, I started doing a daily vlog that I call The Journey. Okay, now these are the tools I talk about offering to you are the exact same tools I personally use and have used to go from struggling to keep food on my table to being debt-free with an overstocked pantry. Okay, and enough income coming in that I can continue to put a roof over my head, keep food on the table, the power on, that sort of thing. These are all the same tools. These tools have also worked to eliminate the nightmares I used to have on a daily basis. Okay, I mean, quite honestly, I think it's been probably a week and a half now since I've had a nightmare. And I'll tell you, being almost 58 years old, that's bizarre. Like, it really feels bizarre, but I'll tell you, it feels great being able to get up in the morning and go, okay, everything's running reasonably smoothly. Now it's time to start taking care of the things I've been putting off. Number one has been my own personal health. Okay, I've just been ignoring it because, well, didn't have any time to deal with it, didn't have any functional money to deal with. Coffee, I like it. I was told that drinking warm liquids is good in this whole COVID thing. Worked out well. I'm basically a recluse, right? I stay away from people aside from going for walks, going to one restaurant. Of course, COVID has made that problematic, and going to the grocery store. Okay, even the doctor I've managed to avoid, but the reality is this. It's time to start changing things from that end as well. I've got my physical world starting to work out. This mess you see behind me, well, that unfortunately is because I couldn't finish what I was doing yesterday. Okay, and that's because what somebody else did, I didn't have control over. Got the package home, delivery went like an absolute charm. The guy was great. The clerks in the store were great. Where the problem come in was the people that put the machine together, the desk together in the first place. So understand, you have only got, you cannot, well, you can, whatever you're doing, whatever you're thinking, whatever you're saying, okay, you cannot control how other people are going to react. Well, most people can't. There's a few people out there that can, but on the whole, the odds are you cannot control how other people feel or how other people are going to react to what you're doing. The only thing you've got control over in that venue is you can control how you react to what they're doing. You can control how you respond to what they do. But that's it. Which is why I refuse to lie to people. I'll just go, this is the way it is. If you meet me on the street, you'll find I'm exactly the same way. You ask me a question, I'll give you an answer to what you're asking. Okay. I've had people try and find out all sorts of things, and understand, I do not tell people who I talk to get the information. Like, I will refer to, I talk to somebody, or I talk to a doctor. But I'm not about to tell people this person is who I spoke to, or this person is who I did this did this with. I just don't do it because it's up to them whether they want it to come out in the open. Now, if people come to me and ask me if something has happened or if I've done something, then yeah, in all likelihood, I'm going to look at them and go, this is what I did, depending on who they are. Now, obviously, regardless of what you think of politicians, whatever you think of the police or the authorities, they are the ones that are right now running the situation, so you do have to sort of work with them. You don't have to agree with the laws, but you do have to follow them, unless you're looking for headaches and pains in the neck. Now, if you're running your own company, and bear in mind, your own company may be your own household, you set the rules. Make certain that whatever rules you're putting in place apply to everybody. Okay, if you want people to be honest with you, be honest with them. This is how you develop a world that is better, is by looking and taking responsibility for your own actions. Okay, taking responsibility for your own reactions. Okay, and whatever you do, when you give your word on something, follow it. It's the only thing on the planet that truly can never be taken away from you. Okay, people can coerce you into giving your word on something, and I think legally speaking they call that under duress. But even if they coerce you into it, you're still having to give it. They cannot take that from you. Okay, so when you give your word, stick to it. As my father used to put it. Okay, it takes forever to build trust. It will take a heartbeat to destroy it. Okay, so from that end, follow through with that line of thinking. Now, the only three laws I'm bothered worrying about in reality are the three karmic laws. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. And energy out, energy in. If you follow those three laws, okay, and take a look at all of your own spiritual guide, whatever church, whatever temple, whatever coven you're going to, take a look at the guidelines and really see, compare them to those three laws and see if they all fit in. I know I've gone through, for instance, Christianity, Judaism, the Muslims, the Sikhs, okay, the Hindus, the Cree, the Church of Satan. All of these follow the same laws. Okay, all of them fit inside those three. Now, I mentioned earlier you must follow the laws of the land in which you are, which falls under the second one. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. If you're running a home, running a business, make the laws that, number one, make laws that you yourself are going to follow. Okay, lead by example. By doing that, you can alter the way the world works around you. If you don't believe me, give it a shot. Now, the reality is, there's an old saying that goes, clothes make the person. Well, if that were the case, everybody in the military and everybody on the police force and everybody in the postal service, everybody in schools, in private schools where they have a uniform, if clothes made the person, these people would all act identical to each other. They don't. However, what you wear, what you carry yourself like, the way you dress, the way you do your hair up, the way you do your makeup, all of that will alter the way you feel about you. Okay? And that will alter the way you behave towards other people. Now, don't get me wrong, I am the last person you want to talk to. I love the way it was put one day. I was in a lineup at a grocery store, and I was not dressed in, upper clothes or anything. I mean, I was dressed in clothes, but there was a chap that was dressed very much in very fine, a really fine suit. And he looked at me and I forget what the comment was, but my response was rather direct. I looked at him and I said, look, it ain't like I'm a fashion statement. Well, the most comical thing happened. The lady behind me, she pipes up and goes, you are so. Not a good one, but you are a statement. And I mean, that has stuck with me ever since it happened a few years ago. I don't make excuses. This is the way, well, maybe I do. I don't know. You figure it out. what you see is what you get. I've operated on a budget that was so close to the border. I was always one check shy of being on the street. Okay, did not enjoy it, was not happy about it. But I made it through it. I got my goal set. And this is where and I don't have it with me. Well, isn't that nice? This is where why I have notes that I keep track of. These are what I'm working on. Now, I was working up front before I suddenly realized what time it was and went, wait a minute, I got to get this done before my day really gets started. So that little notepad is up front, but I keep a list, okay, of things that I've got to get done today to make sure that I get them done, to make sure by the end of the day that I actually get things accomplished that I was aiming at. Okay, I should actually start tracking that just on curiosity's sake. How many different jobs I'm actually getting out of the way. Because I'll tell you, it's time for me to get a few things straight. I've got to get my health in order, like my physical health. I have a reason to, right? For the longest time I looked at it and went, I've dropped dead before. It really isn't that bad of a deal. But at this point, I've decided don't want to go there anymore. Okay, I'm aiming at doing what you're going to consider the impossible. Now, I had 3 goals when I was a kid. Okay, number 1, I wanted to get off this planet. Well, I managed to do that, and if you take a look at my videos on races of the worlds, you'll hear about that side of my life. Okay, so that was one that I desired to do. Okay, I desired to publish a few books. Well, there's a list at the bottom of this video. Okay, that will show you the books that I've published, not the least of which is Yldrbac, which is a story that I started writing back in grade 10. So I was 15 when I started it. I'm almost 58 now, and it's in print. Of course, right now you can only get it through me, but that's, the list is there below, and I'll be updating my website on that one on Facebook regarding where I'm standing with it. Okay, so that's 2 of the goals that I had. The third goal is going to be a little problematic. Okay, and I'm absolutely certain that people are going to look at me and go, that's not going to happen. Well, it may not, but it still gives me something to aim at. And in order to do it, I need to get my health back in proper shape. Not according to the doctors, but according to me. Okay, I just am going to use the doctors to get there. Now, my goal was simple. See the 22nd century. Okay, in reasonable shape, where I'm still capable of doing things for myself. So I'm not sitting there in a wheelchair, and nothing against people in a wheelchair. I just don't want to be there. Okay, I've got a bad leg as it is. I do use a wheelchair when I'm going long distances in the airport. Okay, because, well, my leg doesn't work right. But I would like to be out of a wheelchair. I would like to be in total control of my faculties and my physical body when I see the 22nd century. Now, the reason that is so problematic is that 79 years down the road. That puts me close to 140. Okay. Now, well, it'll be 60 and be 137. Now, that's a long way down the road. I've got to do a lot of work to stay there. I've got to get my mind settled so that I can kill off the stress that is causing problems in my body. And yes, that's a heck of a goal. And it is, if I look at statistically speaking, it's likely I won't make it. However, I remember reading about somebody I read about him I guess it'd be about 15, 20 years ago now, an African chap that was 149 when he died. Now, I don't know whether that was right, wrong, or indifferent. Apparently, he came across on the slave ships. Okay. So, but I am a firm believer that it is doable because modern medicine has confirmed that every cell in the human body replaces itself every 7 years. And they do it at different cycles, but that's okay. Okay. If they do it every 7 years, then there is no functional reason why I shouldn't be able to make it happen. I already know from practical experience that you can reorganize things, you can reprogram cells to do their own thing. I know this. Medicine has not proven it. I just simply know what I know. And no, I'm not a researcher. Gee, there were a lot of notes in that comment. But, where are we here? Yep, we are reaching that point. Yeah, my eyes don't work as well as I'd like, but I can see to a degree. Now, that being said, I've got 20/20 eyesight for reading, as in if I've got the book here. Now, we're going to cut this short, but thank you very much for joining me, and we will talk again tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.